How surge pricing quietly controls you feels normal, but it is rarely accidental. It's a deliberate, algorithmic redesign of the transaction. Most of us think about dynamic pricing as a neutral scale. We assume it's a digital thermometer, reading the room and balancing supply and demand in real time. That assumption makes intuitive sense when you step out of a concert venue or when a sudden rainstorm hits the city. Thousands of people are looking for a ride at the exact same moment, and a temporary price hike seems like a natural way to ration the few cars available. This logic mirrors the classical economic theory of the invisible hand. Without those higher prices signaling drivers to get on the road, wait times would stretch into hours. Eventually, the system would freeze, and nobody would get a ride. This belief in market equilibrium creates a sense of fairness. We accept the platform as an impartial mediator, even though it is the active architect of the choices we are allowed to make. The underlying mechanics of ride-hailing platforms don't wait for the market to act. They run on deterministic programs that dictate the price before the crowd even forms. Deep inside the architecture is a core metric. Every 8.3 seconds, the algorithm calculates a supply gap index for your specific location. This index feeds on live inputs. It measures the active driver count within a tiny fraction of a mile and tracks the exact median time it takes for pending requests to be accepted. Then it layers historical data on top. The system knows the exact cancellation rates for trips in the downtown bar district on a Friday night. It uses that past behavior to preemptively spike the fare, minutes before the local demand peak actually hits. By integrating weather APIs and event schedules, the algorithm anticipates the cloudburst before the first drop hits. It turns a shared environmental schist into a series of predictable, high-margin micro-monopolies. That back-end control is invisible to the user. What we experience is an interface carefully engineered to secure our compliance through behavioral economics. This screen displays the current pricing model, often requiring users to manually type in the surge multiplier, like 2.25, just to request a ride. This deliberate friction combats accept fatigue by forcing you to slow down. By forcing you to physically acknowledge the higher rate, the platform overcomes sticker shock. You see the minimum fare and the per-mile breakdown, establishing the anchor reference points used to transform a monetary loss into a consciously accepted trade-off. Every time we accept that trade-off, we feed the data revenue optimization cycle. Each transaction provides granular data on consumer price elasticity, exactly how much financial pain we tolerate before we close the app. Beyond solving a temporary driver shortage, these surges function as a data gathering tool. They train the algorithm to identify the exact price point where a user's need for a ride overrides their hesitation at the cost. For generations, the static price tag anchored our economy. It was a symbol of consistency and a transparent contract between the buyer and the seller. Algorithmic pricing removes that transparency. It creates an information asymmetry, where the corporation processes millions of data points, while the consumer only sees a final, fluctuating number. This architecture is expanding rapidly. As Senator Elizabeth Warren has noted in recent legislative investigations, retail grocery chains are rolling out electronic shelf labels that bring dynamic pricing right to the food aisle. With electronic labels, pricing becomes a tool for continuous profit optimization. Companies can now test in real time the absolute limits of what a consumer is willing to pay for basic necessities. The London terror attacks illustrate the danger of delegating these decisions to a program. As people fled for their lives, the surge algorithm processed the sudden spike in requests as a standard market opportunity, triggering 2.5x fare multipliers in a disaster zone. This shift from visible fairness to opaque calculation defines the modern marketplace. It's a structural change in how we buy and sell, and now you can see it a little more clearly.